All right, can you hear me, see me on the hub, hear me, see me on the live Facebook? Let's kind of just tweak that a bit, shall we? Hello, how are you? It's very good to be here. Bonus session number 2. And quite close up in the old Facebook. It's all very kind of, there we go. Sweet. Good. So, guys, let me know you're here. We'll give people a few moments to arrive. Very exciting. I am broadcasting in the hub via my brand spanking new computer, which is very exciting because, in truth, my old one, children outside the door, they want to get involved as well. They are so excited because today we're going to be comprehending confidence. And, well, there's very few things in life more important than discovering how to be more confident. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. Because listen, all of the stuff that we've done, all of the stuff you may be catching up on, it means nothing if nothing happens, okay? Now, whilst we wait for others to arrive, I may need to deal with the situation out here because it's going to prove a little distracting for all concerned, I'm sure. So, let's do this. Oh, no, you want to be involved in the session, don't you? Yeah. Oh. Do you want to show people how you've been walking? Oh, you've been doing so well. It's up to 7 steps. You say hello. You want to have a go as well? All right, so I'm going to pop these 2 downstairs. So if you see a blank screen, don't worry. There's nothing to be alarmed about. Right, come on, guys. Let's go upstairs because it was a nice idea, but I'm afraid it's not going to work with you guys being. All right, we're back in. Okay, Miranda is here. Fantastic. So yeah, Miranda, I reckon at some point this evening may well work for our call. Big up to those who I've jumped on a momentum call with. Anyone who I haven't yet, I look forward to doing it, very much so. And guys, while you're landing, let me know what you've been up to over the course of, the last week. Forgive me for not posting up. It's been, like I say, I've just been immersed in cracking on with stuff, which is great. But I do recognise that it's always good to keep the presence going. So yeah, forgive me if you were hoping I'd be more present. I promise to be from now on. And also let me know where you're at with confidence. What does confidence mean for you? When you think of yourself, do you consider yourself to be a confident person? What are your thoughts? Let me know. So give it a few more minutes for some people to arrive, and then we shall crack on. So yeah, let me know. How do where does confidence sit with you? Are you confident in some areas, not so much in others? Let me know, Wagwan. And don't forget, if you are watching this on the recording, then still post up, because it's, especially if you're watching on the Facebook recording, then post up, let us know what's going on. Let us know how it sits with you, because as I understand it, every time someone comments on a post in the group, it gets bumped back up to the top. So that means we can constantly keep any of these sessions, any of these conversations fresh and alive, and actually serve one another from it as well. So definitely, if you're watching this on the recording, particularly on the Facebook, pop your comments in. Which reminds me, let me just get the old hub open. Hello, Michelle. How are you? Very good to have you on the session. Let me bring it up here. There we go. So, trying to reconnect due to poor wireless connection. Guys, let me know you're hearing me okay. It's always useful. Your connection is weak. Your connection is weak. How upsetting. All right, so give it one more minute for some people to arrive, and then we shall crack on. And also let me know. Michelle is procrastinating. Okay, cool. Well, we'll get into that. So, yeah, procrastination is a very, very common side effect of certain areas of lack of confidence. It does keep stopping. The internet keeps stopping. Come on, internet. So you could try the hub, but obviously the comments wouldn't be quite so effective. I wonder what happens on the old. Does it still record? Okay, I wonder if that's the case. Michelle, Miranda, anyone else on the session? Let me know. Did you guys see any of the previous confidence sessions we did? Because I was planning to recap some of those little bits just to make sure there was no holes. So let me know if you caught some of the confidence sessions we did already in the actual Creative Ignition journey, so that I can know what kind of detail to go into. Procrastination is a side effect of short attention span. Okay, we shall see. We shall see. Well, probably is true as well, to be fair, since I think my ADHD was long undiagnosed and very significant. Well, ADHD, total horseshit, in my opinion. Forgive me if anyone's got kids who've got ADHD. It just means it's a kid who's got a lot of energy and needs to find ways to be, challenged and given things that kind of light him up or her up. So yeah, basically, ADHD is a way of labeling kids who have got more energy than our society finds convenient, and so it's like, here, have some drugs that are going to fuck you up for the rest of your life. In my humble opinion, which clearly was not so humble. Clint's on the call. Good, Clint. I don't know where you're driving to, but I hope the road is clear and it's not one of those times that in the day where you're driving on the road and the sun is just low enough to get into your eyes, but the little flap doesn't stop the sun as well. I hope you can see okay as well. It's slightly stressful when that happens. All right, let's do this. Let's crack on. So, and I think on the call I had with Clint, he mentioned this as well. So, why is confidence so important? Why is confidence so important? Well, I don't want you to have joyful envy, and I don't want you to have deathbed regrets. What do we mean by joyful envy, deathbed regrets? Well, joyful envy is, have you ever had an idea, is like, that's a fucking great idea, and then you didn't do anything, and 3, 4, 5 years down the line, someone's done it and they're doing it really well, and you're like, damn it. So you get a bit of envy, but you're also like, yes, because you knew that the idea you had was great, right? I don't want that. Wouldn't it be awesome to be like, hey, this is me and my idea is happening, right? And very often we, that inspiration where we're like, this is a great idea, but then we don't do anything because for whatever reason, our confidence in ourselves and our ability to deliver does not match with the strength of that first inspiration. Okay. So that's why this session, I'm really passionate about this session, because I don't want you to have joyful envy. And the other one is deathbed regrets. If you fast forward however long you plan to live for me, 120, right? So I don't want to get to kind of the age 100, 110 and look back and go, oh my God, I didn't do these things that I would have really loved to do for the simple reason that I kind of felt silly or I was worried what others might think. By the time you get to that age, those things are going to seem so pointless, right? So like embrace that side of yourself right now, and just be like, right, well, what is there that if I didn't do it, I'd look back in however many years and just be like, oh mate, you absolute idiot. Don't want that either. Okay. So no joyful envy, no deathbed regrets, or not even deathbed regrets, just like pensioners' regrets. When you hit pension age, do you want to be there going, mate, I wish I'd done that? No. Okay. So that is why, that's why there's clear passion in my voice for this, because, and more than anything else as well, Jesus, we are in a time when the world needs you. The world needs your gifts. And I wrote this in my journal the other day because, I'm still having some challenges with this. And I don't stand here as someone who is perfect with my confidence, but I do stand here as someone who has made it my business to understand how to build confidence. Okay. So, James, where's my thought train? Not going. Oh yeah. So I even wrote in my journal. It's like, I was trying to journal out, why was I having this little issue? And it was just like really strongly came through. It's like, look, the world needs you to step up here. And that's not in some kind of big arrogancy type way. It's like, every one of us, the chances against you existing, like, out of 7 billion people, right? You're here. Now, for the sperm and the egg to do their thing, right? That's like odds of 120 trillion or so to 1, right? And then if you take in the odds against life itself existing on this planet, like, like a 3 degrees temperature change here or there, and vast swathes of our ecosystem die off and we all die, right? If one species, aka the bee, happens to, get wiped out as it looks like it might happen, we're fucked. Okay, so the chances of life existing on this planet are so finely tuned as to be, it's almost impossible to say it's an accident, even though Dawkins and the like, Darwin would want to have you believe that. Okay, so the fact that you exist, Jesus, you are here for a reason, big or small, because there is no big or small when we get down to the fundamental level. Okay, so that's why confidence is important, because we are crying out for your gifts, truly. Have you heard anything going on downstairs? It's probably something my daughter's done. So before we kind of dive into a few practical exercises, I want to massacre a few myths, and I mentioned this on one of the other sessions we've had. So if you've seen it, then cool. If not, great. If you're watching the recording, really pay attention, because it's so important, not just for you, but for anyone else you might come across who, whether they have confidence challenges or it's a parent and their kid has confidence challenges. These two are really key myths that I want to massacre for you guys, okay, about confidence. So the first one, like creativity, the belief that creativity is just a gift that some people have and some people don't. It's the same with confidence. People think, oh, he's just confident or she's just shy, right? Totally inaccurate. Confidence is not something you either have or don't have, okay? I call this the gift gaff, because to believe that it is a gift that some have and others don't is just totally inaccurate and really damaging, okay? Because it leads others who have been labeled as unconfident to think that they've got no chance of ever being confident, because it's something that some people have and others don't, okay? So really want to make sure that we get that confidence is not just a gift that some have and others don't. It is a skill that anyone can build, okay? We're going to explore that in this session. Kaylee, I've seen you jump on. Big up yourself. Let's connect this week if we can. Let me know how Karen got on with his job as well. So yeah, that's the first myth, the gift gaff, the idea that confidence is a gift you either have or don't, okay? And connected into this, I call this one the introvert error, which is there is this kind of belief that from a confidence perspective that if you're quiet, that means you're shy and lacking confidence. And again, that's horseshit. Excuse my French, because simply that may well mean that if you're quiet, it just means you're an introvert, someone who gets their energy, who comprehends the world more inwardly, okay? And therefore, if you're quiet, that simply means you're doing what comes naturally to you. You're doing what what you're on this planet to do. You process the world, by going, right, what's going on here? Okay. You assess things, you analyze things, you take it all in. And when you do speak, which may well be rarely, it's really worth hearing, okay? But we have this kind of often unconscious bias and very, very damaging ignorant bias that says that extroverts are the people who are like, yes, they're the ones, they're the leaders and they're all of this. And it's so inaccurate and so damaging, okay? So if you are an introvert, which just means you're someone who prefers to be quiet, that doesn't necessarily mean you're not confident. So with these two myths, the gift gaff and the introvert error, they they're very often like, what am I trying to do with my hands here? They create a vicious cycle, particularly in schools where, you know, young people who are introverts will be labeled as lacking confidence, and because of the gift gap, they'll just think they got no chance of ever being confident. So they start to take on the behaviors that support the beliefs that people have about them, and it's crazy. Okay, so yeah, that's, you know, quick recap if you have watched this already. If not, great, really pay attention, because can you see how, you know, if you have got a friend who's a parent and their kid is, you know, getting labeled as lacking confidence in school, you can change that child's life or that parent's life just by going, do you prefer just being quiet? Do you prefer like your own thoughts? And the kid's like, yeah. Like, suddenly we have a whole different way to support this young person to get the best out of not just their educational experience, but their life, right? So that's why this is so important, and why, you know, why there is the passion in my voice for this. Okay, cool. So I also want to just recap the kind of pillars of confidence, the 6 pillars of confidence, because they're going to really link into what we do with the practical exercises as well. Let me just check out Michelle's comment. Do you feel some people are more naturally creative or confident than others? I do get a bit annoyed. Everyone, just give me a writer. It's easy. Just because you can write words doesn't mean you should be a writer. Just because I can hold a brush and do other stuff, I'm assuming that says. So now here's the thing. There are, you know, genetics does exist, right? You know, it's like, you know, but also, what do I think of this? Are some people just more naturally creative and confident than others? I think there's a possibility that is true, but I would also think that if you kind of peel back the layers of what's happened in their formative years, there will be a lot of, even, you know, even if it wasn't meant, there will be some nurture in there that has led to these people as seeming to be more naturally creative and confident, is my opinion. Cool. So when you're talking about the writing thing, so Michelle's saying that just because everyone can write words doesn't mean they should be a writer. What does that mean in relation to confidence? Clarify that for me, because let's unpick that. And guys, also great interaction. Thank you, Michelle. If you have got any questions, any comments, and you're like, I'm not sure I agree with that, or things that you need clarifying, do post up, of course. I'm just going to check the hub before we get into the pillars of confidence. It's taking ages. Wow. Okay, cool. Come on, the hub. All right, cool. So here are the 6 pillars of confidence. Okay, and they're an acronym. You know, I love acronyms. So the acronym forms the word SMILES, and I'm gonna nail through these because there's a whole session in Creative Ignition where we explore this in a bit more detail. Okay, but I want to bring it up just so that when we dive into the practical session, we've got a sense of how it's all going to link in. Okay, so the first one of SMILES, SMILES. First S stands for small steps. Small steps. Okay, if you've got a big thing to do, if you can break it down into small little chunks, you feel amazing each time you complete one of those chunks, and therefore you're much more likely to do the whole thing if you break it down into lots of little chunks. Okay, it's a really key point. And also we get asymmetrical rewards as well, which means that the confidence boost, the positive neurochemistry that goes on from completing a tiny little thing far outweighs the actual the actual challenge of the task itself. Okay. So small steps, massive key. Okay. Next, so that's S of SMILES. M is meals. If you put shit in here, your confidence is going to be like shit. It's really, and I say this as someone who has just devastated their confidence at various points through a significant addiction to sugar. Okay. Sugar particularly refined sugar spikes your mood, drops you, spikes you, drops you, spikes you, drops you. And it's really, you know, it really is noticeable for me personally when I'm in a good place with sugar. You know, my confidence and energy are both off the charts. Okay, so M is for meals, and that includes what you drink as well. So, you know, Cokes, all that sort of stuff. So small steps, meals. I is ignore the haters, right? There are going to be people who, in order to make themselves feel better, to make themselves feel more confident, will take shots at you, okay? And if you choose to take on their dog shit, your confidence will start to stink, okay? They are simply giving you dog shit. You can accept it or not. That is your choice, okay? So, small steps. M is meals. I is ignore the haters. L is love. Find ways to be a source of love in the world, okay? And the impact on your confidence will be dramatic, because when we serve others, when we give, it's, you know, we are aligning with, you know, our, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess our true natural state as human beings. We, you know, this myth of us being brutish and warring and selfish is totally wrong. What, you know, cutting edge biologists, all this is starting to see is that human beings, we are genetically, socially conditioned to be loving, to be kind. So when you are loving and kind, you tap into what it means to be human. And as a result, you naturally become more confident because we are self-healing organisms. Okay. So small steps, meals, get your meals right, ignore the haters, find ways to love, be a source of love. E of smiles is exercise. Honestly, if they could bottle the effects of exercise, the drug companies who were all that antidepressants and stuff would go out of business. Okay. And whatever that means for you, you know, if you're someone for whom, you know, if you have any disabilities or impairments or challenges, find ways even within that to exercise. It's about challenging yourself. Our bodies respond fantastically to being challenged, okay? So E is exercise. The S of smiles, the final one, is stillness. And this is some kind of meditative practice. For me, one of the things I do is juggling. Others, they might go walking or running. For some, it's yoga. For some, it's full-on meditation with the chanting and all that. Whatever you can do to drop yourself into a place of stillness, the benefits to your confidence are going to be huge. And it won't be until you've had a kind of a stillness practice going for a while where you're like, oh, hang on, I just feel more content. I'm happier. You know, all of these things are the result of having a stillness practice, a stillness habit. Okay. So very quickly, I've nailed through those. I've been through them in more detail in one of the previous sessions. I think it was the session labeled Confidence and Cash off the top of my head. And so, you know, if you want to go into a bit more detail on those, go ahead. But those are the 6 pillars. If you can get those things in place, or even, you know, some of them, the chances of you being able to build your confidence, you know, go through the roof. Okay. Yeah, Clint's saying do some kind of, you know, Clint's looking at a flotation tank business, which I think will just, you know, is going to explode in the UK. Yeah, flotation is a pretty darn awesome way of getting some stillness in your life. Cool. Let me just check out Michelle's comments. Okay, cool. So mate, for some reason, why can't I see like the fullness of people's comments? That's quite frustrating. Never mind. So yeah, but here's the thing. I think where I come at this, Michelle, is if people, even just if they try, their confidence is going to be benefited. The act of trying, as we're going to explore in a moment, really is key. So you know, I agree that. And I would also, my personal belief is, listen, who's judging as well? It's like, you're an awesome writer, so therefore, you know, someone who puts together the cat's out on the mat. But to someone else, that might be the writing that they love. So I think, you know, this is where the beauty of our, you know, our uniqueness comes to the fore as well. And I'd like to be able to read the rest of your comment, but at the moment, being live, I can't. Cool. So guys, that makes sense on the 6 pillars. Let's dive into, you know, the kind of the practical stuff. So what I want to make sure you guys have got is a sense of, if confidence is a skill, if it is something that can be developed, can be honed, well, then it'll be pretty useful, right, for you guys to have a plan, you know, an understanding of what it takes to do that. So in the next kind of, 10, 15 minutes, that's what we're going to focus on, okay? That's what we're going to focus on. So I want to talk to you about, we've looked at the 6 pillars there, okay? And they kind of feed into what I call the circle of certainty, which is comprised of 3 things: care, creativity, and connection. Okay, care, creativity, and connection. And if you can do any of those 3 things, you're confident. Like, they're like, what's the word I'm looking for? They're like main lines back to confidence central, if that makes sense. So my language is a bit off, but I'm trying to think of the right word. It's like, so they're like, say your system, your confidence system has been shutting down. Care, creativity, and connection they're like the kind of, they're the defibrillators, if you like, that can reboot your system, that can get your confidence system back running again. Okay. Care for yourself. Okay. So eating the right meals, ignoring the haters, being a source of love, exercise, stillness. So we start to see how the pillars feed into this, right? And caring for others as well, of course, being a source of love. Okay. So whatever care means to you, it's a credible way to kickstart your confidence again. Okay. Caring for yourself, caring for others. All right. Creativity, it breeds confidence. Okay. And it can be the smallest, most purposeless act of creativity. It's still, and this really taps into the small steps element of the pillars. You know, at the end of when we finished the Creative Ignition journey, I genuinely felt a bit like I was a bit down, because I'd been kind of in this flow of serving, of sharing what I felt with my gifts, and then suddenly it kind of stopped. And for a period of about 3 or 4 days, I felt like I was just being useless. And what kicked me back into, being in flow again was for no reason at all. Like, obviously there's a long-term silly vision of wanting to have a #1 rap record and perform at Wembley Stadium. But whether that happens or not, I still love creating raps, creating songs. So I spent last Saturday night until about 2 a.m. Recording two songs I'd written. And so I got my little home studio set up out. And, for this week, I've really been buzzing, simply because just to have created something, the act of being creative, or remember, creativity is the application of imagination. So the act of applying myself to my imaginative faculties was like dynamite. So care, creativity, and connection. And this is powerful. This is powerful, right? You know that there are times when you have conversations with people and you leave that conversation absolutely buzzing. You leave that conversation in a very different energetic space to when you started, okay? And that is the power of connection. And of course, this feeds back into the ignore the haters pillar as well. If you are connecting with people who are sniping at you, who are trying to make themselves feel better by making you feel worse, of course that's going to undermine your confidence. Whereas if you are connecting with someone who genuinely loves you and wants to see you thrive, and you feel the same about them, well, then you create a synergy, and confidence is the result. Confidence is the third thing that gets created. You're giving your love, they're giving their love to you. And the third element that comes as a result of that is greater confidence for both of you. Okay. You simply go away feeling reaffirmed in your humanity. Okay. And that is the power of connection. When you are reaffirmed in your humanity, it is impossible for you not to feel more confident, to feel more positive about the future. Okay. So care, creativity, and connection. Those are the 3 elements that make up the circle of certainty. If you're feeling like your confidence is suffering, check the 6 pillars and check, right, which element of the circle of certainty isn't being honored at the moment. Okay. Am I caring for myself? Am I finding ways to care for others? Am I being creative? Am I giving myself the gift of creativity? Am I actually reaching out and connecting in a real way? And by connection, so much of that really is about face-to-face human connection. Okay. Because whilst we can connect like this and it's brilliant, the what happens on a hormonal neurochemical level when you're face to face with someone, when you're sharing this, you know, when your energy fields are merging, literally, that's what we're talking about here, okay, is so powerful. Cool, does that make sense? The circle of certainty. And it's just a really quick way of going, I'm not feeling in my best right now. What's going on? Am I caring? Am I caring for myself? Am I caring for others? Am I being creative at times? You know, where's the connection? Okay. Can you see, very quick way to check in, and just like, it's almost like a kind of compass of where you're at with your confidence. Okay. So we spoke about confidence being a skill, something you can master, something you can develop. Okay. And therefore, it applies, the talent formula, which we covered in one of the earlier sessions, applies to confidence as well. Okay. Confidence is a talent you can develop. It's a skill you can develop. Okay. So I want you guys to, if you've got a journal, piece of paper, notebook, whatever it is, grab it, because we're just going to put together what I call a PMS plan. Now, is PMS, is that an abbreviation for something to do with women time, or is that PMT? I'm sure I've heard it called both things. So it's definitely not that in this context. Okay. PMS in this context stands for practice, mindset, and setting, which, if you remember, are the three elements of the talent formula. Okay. So if you've got your book or something to write on, you know, Word document, whatever it might be. So the first question to consider is, what practices will help improve your confidence? What practices will help improve your confidence? And that could be the practice of, you know, regularly drinking a green smoothie. Okay, the practice of regular exercise, a meditation practice. You know, one that was amazing for me and which resulted in one of my books was a poetry practice, a daily poetry practice. Every day I'd write a poem. Right. Okay. So yeah, PMS does stand for something to do with women time. Okay. Cool. Yeah, not that on this occasion, right? So P is practice. What practices would feed the care aspect, help you take care of yourself, and, you know, would help you to be more creative, would help you to have greater connection. Okay. What practices? Note down some, because what this is allowing you to do is, listen, there will be times when you aren't doing these practices every day, but if you've got them noted down, you can be like, right, let me get back to that. Let me get back into the groove. Okay. And that's what I really want to make sure you guys have, is something where if you get knocked off, if your confidence gets knocked, if you get out of flow, you've got a map that you can go, like, right, this is the one. Let me get back on this. Okay. So what practices will help build your confidence, will help you get back into a place where you are confident? Okay. That's P. And just make a note, take a moment, you know, note a few things down. And again, you know, your body, your soul knows what it needs. So when you ask yourself what practices will help, just note down whatever comes up, even if you're like, what? I've never thought of that. Note it down, because your body, we are self-healing organisms. Our natural state is joy, vibrancy, confidence. Okay. So your body knows what to do to return to that state. Okay. So when you ask yourself what practices will help, even if they sound crazy, write them down. Okay. So the next part of the PMS plan, I am going to choose a different name for it at some point, is what mindset shifts need to occur. What mindset shifts need to occur so that you are in a more resilient state with confidence, so that you can be more confident more often. Okay. And you might think, well, George, if I knew that, I'd just be doing it. But actually, you know, I had a chat with one of the group last week, and we were exploring some of the things that they were assuming about themselves that was holding them back. And when we kind of dug down a bit, we realized that those assumptions were totally untrue. They were just based on previous stuff that had happened. And when we dug into that previous stuff, even then, that was just based on how they'd interpreted it at the time. And with the benefit of hindsight, they were like, well, actually, that wasn't the case at all. So all of these, like this person's entire mindset around confidence was built on foundations of sand. And as soon as we were able to actually look at what was really going on and had happened in the past, we were able to develop a very different mindset going forward. Okay. So the question here is, what are some things you assume about yourself, that you believe about yourself, that you're worried might be true about yourself, that would impact your confidence? Okay. Because we're going to then, coming up, we've got a little exercise that's going to help you deal with those, and you can just run the process for yourself whenever you need. But right now, yeah, what are some things that you're worried about yourself, that you think about yourself, that others have told you, that you've believed about yourself? And even if intellectually you know they're probably not true, be real. On an emotional level, do they still hit home and hinder you? Okay, so note some of those down. Those assumptions about yourself, the things you worry about yourself. And just a reminder, if you're watching on the hub and you see my eyes drop, that's simply because I've got obviously the Facebook one here. And on Facebook, if I look up, which means I'm on the hub, it's called. Okay. So what mindset shifts need to happen? What do you believe about yourself that may or may not be true, but that limits your confidence? And Michelle, you mentioned, mentioned procrastination. Procrastination is a great way of actually hiding from the fact that we don't feel confident about certain things. And so we create these stories, these behaviors around procrastination so that we never have to test that confidence fear. Okay. So, there's certainly one there that can be examined. And guys, a great way to get to a sense of what mindset shifts need to occur is, okay, cool. So the only thing holding you back is energy levels. Okay, cool. All right, nice. Well, we're going to come on to that in just a second. So a great way to get to what mindset shifts, how to reveal that is if you have a situation or like a thing that you think that's holding you back, that maybe isn't related to mindset. Say, let's use procrastination, for example, right? So, very simply, you can ask yourself, we want to kind of, if procrastination is the tip of the iceberg, we want to get to the core beliefs or assumptions that are at the core of, that make up the rest of the iceberg. Okay. So, you can start to inquire. And the way to do this is just to ask yourself questions. Go, right, well, if I procrastinate, why do I procrastinate? Okay, well, I don't feel enthusiastic about those things. Okay, well, why don't you feel enthusiastic about those things? Well, it's just not me and my flow. And well, okay, well, why do you want to be in your flow all the time? Because that, I think that's how life should be. Is that really how? So you can start to really just dig. Okay, and usually what will happen is you will get to a core belief about yourself or the world that may not be true. And if you then know that may not be true, well, actually, that the core belief or assumption on which your procrastination habit or whatever it might be is built is not true. So you go, right, well, that's a mindset shift that I need to kind of take. Okay. Cool. So the final one. So we got practice. What practices will help you be more confident? What mindset shifts need to occur? And final one is, what different settings do you need to put yourself in so that your confidence can be benefited? Okay. What different settings? So, Michelle, you said your energy levels are a challenge. What different settings could you put yourself in, or what might it be about your current setting that is inhibiting your energy levels? Okay. And also, what might you be assuming about, and the energy levels, again, Michelle, could be a mindset thing. What might you be assuming about yourself or about the world or about your situation that contribute to low energy levels? Okay. So what different settings can you put yourself in? Because obviously, if you're a good, say you're let's use kind of a stereotypical example, but the hardworking, studious, studious student, hangs around with a load of drug dealers. Before too long, the chances are he's going to have some drugs that he might deal, okay? That is the power of setting. So what can you do to your setting, to your environment, to start impacting your confidence? Okay, nice, Michelle. Really nice, really nice. So Michelle's saying she procrastinates around things that she doesn't feel enthusiastic about, and acknowledges that there's times when she has challenges charging enough for her services and bringing in money. So she's saying the belief could be that to make money from something, it needs to be boring and unenjoyable. And listen, that is that's definitely some conditioning, some old story conditioning. Now, can it also be the case that there will be times when you're going to have to do certain things to, what is it? One of the great questions, I saw that great blog, which is like, if you want to make money and make a living, make a difference doing what you love, actually, it's important to ask what you love doing, but it's important to also ask, what are you prepared to struggle with? What are you prepared to struggle with? Because there will be elements of struggle in this. Certainly whilst we shift from this old story to new story, the old story is predicated on struggle and strife. Okay. Of course, if Michelle, it's a physical thing at the moment. So, are there some different settings, some different mindset stuff, some different practices that could help on a physical thing with your energy levels? Okay. All of these things. So, guys, what and I've been using Michelle as a live example there, but if you're live or if you're watching the recording, what we're doing with this PMS plan, practices, mindset, and setting, is about taking any talent, any skill, and developing it. Okay, and we have established that confidence is a skill that can be developed, and practice, mindset, and setting is how you develop skills. Okay, if you have any questions about this, obviously hit me up. Obviously, just ask me, because this is where I go into a lot more detail in the second part of my book, which if you haven't read, what the hell have you been doing? But no, if you want to get a copy, just hit me up. I'll ping that over to you. Okay. Yes, Michelle, definitely shit sandwiches. And guys, a lot of this as well can be, Michelle's brought it up, so let's go with it. To improve your confidence, right? Which thing are you going to feel more confident about achieving? The thing that you love doing and you enjoy doing, or the thing that you hate doing, but you do it anyway, and it helps you to get stuff done, like to get more stuff done? I am guessing, I'm just going by my own personal experience here, if you achieve the thing that you loathe doing, you're going to feel great about yourself for doing it. Like when I filed a tax return, I was like, fuck yeah, I am a motherfucking superhero. Because up until that point, that had been a major mindset thing with me. I was like, I'm bad with numbers or all this stuff. I'm not really, that's not one of my strengths, all of these beliefs. And it was just like, well, I realized I've got to walk my talk, right? So I was like, right, let me do this. Okay. And it wasn't as difficult as I thought, A, and B, I felt freaking awesome after doing it. So, actually, one of the practices that will massively help, in my judgment, based on my personal experience, test it for yourself though, is to practice doing things that make you uncomfortable. And we've covered this in routine resilience in the earlier session. Definitely do it. And I own this. As there's times when I'm awesome at this stuff. Like I've fallen out of the habit at the moment. But for a good 3 months, particularly during these sessions as well, I was taking cold showers to make myself comfortable with discomfort. Because if I want to do something that I love and make a difference in the world and make a living doing it, I am going to have to do things that make me uncomfortable, like filing tax returns. Okay, I've chosen to play the game of entrepreneur on earth as a human being, and therefore tax returns are part of the rules of that game. Okay, cool. Thank you, Michelle. Good examples that actually I hope have helped you guys, whether you're live or watching the recording as well. Okay, so one of the elements of that mindset may seem like, you can put yourself in different settings, you can do different practices, but if you've got a mindset, well, how can you start shifting that? Okay, one is what we outlined there, the process of deep inquiry, asking questions, really probing at the mindset or assumption, and working out what's a core belief that's given birth to it. Okay, and then is that core belief true? That's one way. Another way is to run the following process. which I call fear to fuel. Fear to fuel. All right. And the first step is, and it's a process which you can do anywhere. Once you get familiar with it, you can run it through in your head, and like in 10 seconds you can do it, just to help you, whatever it might be that you're doing. If your confidence is challenged, you run the fear to fuel process. Off you go. The first step is to, whether you've got a notebook, Word document, whatever it might be, is to write what I call a power paragraph. Okay, so what I want you to do is to write when you are at your best, in your flow, like when you are aligned with what you feel is your fullest vision and purpose, you're energized, like when you feel super amazing and powerful. I want you to write down from that place. In fact, maybe take a moment to connect with that power place. Okay, so the invitation, if you want, is to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. And as you take a few deep breaths, bring to mind a time when you felt powerful, when you felt confident, when you felt alive, when you felt ecstatic, joyous. And what was happening in that moment? What was going on? What were you doing? Who were you with? What were you seeing, hearing, touching, tasting? What were you smelling? And as you breathe, really feel that power, that aliveness, that ecstasy, that confidence. And with every breath, feel it literally starting to bring alive every cell in your body. As you breathe in, breathe out, feel each cell of your body come alive with that ecstasy, confidence, power. And I want you to consider this question as you breathe in and feel that power, turning up the volume of that power, that ecstasy, that joy, that aliveness, that confidence. What is true about you? About you, who is alive on this planet out of 7 billion people? What is true about you? And I want you to grab your pen or your keyboard, whatever it is, and create a power paragraph where you write down I am, and then just write down everything that is true about you. When you are at your fullest, best, most awesome, most powerful, most ecstatic, I am. And just keep writing. I am awesome. I am a gift to this life. I am someone who lights others up. I am someone who helps people do this. I am gorgeous. I am lovable. I am loving. I am. What I am statements can you fill your power paragraph with from your fullest, truest, most incredible, brilliant, awesomest state, place, sense of being? I am. And if it feels like you're blowing your own trumpet, blow it harder. I'm connected through wires and fiber optics, but I want to be able to hear you blowing your own trumpet wherever you are. Because the truth is, you are a gift to this world. We've already established the chances against you existing are so like vast. It's in the trillions to one. You are here on this earth for a purpose and a reason. And your joy genuinely is a gift to the world. So what do you need to know about yourself to remind you of just how truly special, truly incredible you are? Whatever that thing is, write it down. I am. Cool. So now, if you have a playbook, the Creative English Playbook. I believe this process actually is in there. If not, it's cool. I'm going to talk you through it as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk you through the process. And then we're just going to run it as a visualization, as a kind of guided meditation, if you like. Okay. So you get a sense of how it works for yourself. Okay. So fear genuinely is one of the greatest assets you have. And you may think I'm mad when I say that, right? It's also one of the most powerful things for helping your confidence to go stratospheric. Okay, when we understand how to use fear. And like the amazing thing is, as I was designing this process, like, and when I say design, in truth, it kind of came through. It's like one of those creative things where you just kind of tune in and there it was. But as it was coming through, it really occurred to me that by some blessing, I knew this stuff since I was about 8 years old. So I was doing this process. And, you know, whenever I used to do a lot of acting as a kid, and this was what I did to get myself like ready to roll, basically, to kind of take things to a higher level. So here it is. When we think of fear, so often it is something we try to ignore or suppress. Okay. People say, oh, fear is false evidence appearing real. So, well, really? Like, if you're surfing a wave that is 30 foot high and has, you know, tens of thousands of cubic tons of water traveling at about 60 miles an hour, like, if you're not afraid, there's something very wrong. Okay, that is not false evidence appearing real. If you are standing on the top of a skyscraper and looking down, you know, 60 stories, 200 feet below, that fear, there's no false evidence there. You fall off, you're dead. So what the first part of this process is to actually acknowledge that you're afraid of something, whatever it might be. Okay. Now, if you're the way, let's map this out live for you. So whatever, like when you note it down, some of the mindset things that might need to change so that you can be more confident. Okay. Just pick one of them. And what's the kind of fear, that's going on with that mindset thing, okay? With that mindset shift that might need to happen. So when we talk about fear, this process relies not on trying to ignore it, trying to avoid it, trying to suppress it. This process relies on truly facing it. So the first step of the process is to face your fear, to acknowledge and say, I am afraid of this. So let me map this out for you live with something that is a fear of mine. So I'm about to, at the moment I'm selling a flat that I've got, and I'm about to invest a good chunk of that capital in making the Creative Uprising movement work. Okay, taking the broader vision to the world. And there is a real fear that I may not succeed. And so right now, I acknowledge facing that fear is the first step. I acknowledge that I am afraid I may not succeed. Okay. And so the first step, you're facing it. We're acknowledging this is what I am afraid of. Okay. And the next step then is to experience it, So rather than trying to avoid it, actually go one step further, like step into the fear and go, right, how does it, like when you say, I acknowledge I'm afraid that I may not succeed. I'm afraid that, I may not this. Really experience it. Go, okay, cool. What does that fear look like? And see that fear happening, experience it. What's really happening? Okay. What's really happening? What does it mean to be afraid? Like emotionally, what emotions does that fear stir up in your body? Where in your body are you feeling that fear? Okay. And so that's first step is to face it. The second step is to experience it. Okay. The third step is to amplify it, So as you're experiencing it, go, right, where in my body am I feeling this? What emotions does this fear really conjure up? Then you ask yourself, well, how could this fear be worse? What is the worst that could happen? And, very often that might be death. Okay, that's cool. What else? What if, what else could be, what else could be worse than death? Well, maybe not just I die because I don't succeed in doing this, but my children suffer for the entirety of their life. Really make this real. And when we say amplify it, what is the worst that could happen? What are some horrific things that could happen as a result of this fear? Okay. And really experience those. What emotions do they stir up? Where in your body do you feel those fears, those emotions as a result of amplifying this? Okay. So we face our fears, we acknowledge it, we face it, we experience it, we amplify it. And the final step then is to reclaim it, And we do that by stating, this is my fear, and it is true that, and then that's why we use the power paragraph. This is where you reclaim it by stepping back into your power, by acknowledging that this fear exists, and it is still true that you are an incredible, unique, and beautiful, brilliant, whatever your power paragraph is. Okay. So what happens then? By reclaiming the energy that you've been giving to feeling this fear, to being afraid, suddenly you've not tried to push the fear away. That fear is still there. But the energy that you've been giving to it, when you reclaim it using your power paragraph, suddenly becomes available to you to start acting. Okay? So this fear becomes something that it's simply there. It's no longer a barrier stopping you from acting, because you reclaim the energy that you've been using to create the barrier, to use it to go forward with your life, because your power paragraph dissolves the barrier. That's why. Because your power paragraph is you at your truest, at your fullest, at your most incredible. Okay? And you at your truest, fullest, and most incredible will still feel fear, but those fears will not stop you going forward with whatever it is you need to go forward with. Okay? So that is the process. Face it, experience it, amplify it, and reclaim it by telling the truth about you. Okay. So let's run that process now. Let's run that process. So the invitation, and I think this is probably the final thing we'll do for the session, is to run this process. So the invitation is to make sure that there are no distractions for the next 6 or 7 minutes, so that you can really get the full experience, so you can actually know what it's like to run this process. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a recording of this and another process related to creativity and confidence that you guys can have as audios, so that it can help you really embed this practice, this process, as a resource you can use. Okay, so yeah, all distractions eliminated. Take a deep breath. If you're sitting down, just feel the chair, feel your back, feel yourself relaxing into the chair, just becoming a bit heavier. Feel the chair supporting you. And bring to mind a fear that you would like to reclaim the energy from. So what is that fear? What are you afraid of? And if you want to, you can speak out the words. I am afraid of. Well done. To face it, to acknowledge it, is a challenge. And notice, as you acknowledge that fear, as you face that fear and maybe speak it out, what's going on with your body? Where are you feeling it in your body? So we now start to move into the experience aspect. So when you acknowledge that fear, what's it stopped you doing before? And really connect with those moments where this fear has held you back. What other emotions may have been present as a result of this fear? What messages have you been giving yourself because of this fear? What beliefs about yourself have you been taking on because of this fear? And really breathe into all of those. How does those beliefs make you feel? When you hear those messages you've given yourself as a result of this fear, how do they make you feel? What has this fear stopped you from doing? And now I want you to consider, what is the worst that could happen with this fear? Imagine there is a volume control, and you can turn up the volume of this fear. You can amplify this fear and all the emotions and blockages and messages and beliefs connected to it. So what is the worst that could happen? What is the worst that could happen, not just to you, but to those you care about as well? If this fear is allowed to maintain its energetic hold over you. What is the worst that could happen to the world as a result of this fear holding you back? And really breathe into it. Where are you feeling this amplified fear in your body? What's it doing? Is there a knot? Are you tense in your shoulders, your jaw, your fists? What's happening with your body as you turn up the volume on this fear, as you amplify this fear, and consider all of the things that might be the worst that could happen as a result of this fear? And now, I want you to take a deep breath and to say thank you. To say thank you to this fear that has brought you to this moment. Has brought you to this moment where you can reclaim all the energy that you've been giving to this fear. You are an infinite and unlimited being, and you have been giving energy that could be used for such incredible things to this fear. And you know what? That has served you. In some way, shape, or form, it's kept you safe. But now you are ready to reclaim that energy and use it in ever more incredible ways. So right now, what is true about you? State what is true about you. I am. From your most incredible, most alive, most ecstatic, most joyous place, most confident state. What is true about you? Keep being grateful for that fear, because now you have all of the energy you were giving to it available to do incredible, incredible things in this world for yourself and for others. Well done. So guys, quickly note down, whether your keyboard or your journal, whatever it might be, anything that came up during that process about the fear, what it felt like to reclaim it. And that is the process. So I'm going to create an audio for you guys, so you can always have that. But you know, anytime you have a little fear that crops up, you can simply face it, experience it, step into really feeling the fear, amplify it. What is the worst that can happen? And then reclaim it. Say thank you to the fear and state what is true about you from your most powerful place. Cool. So guys, it's been a pleasure to be back with you. And all I can say is this is not something that you are, if confidence in certain areas is a challenge to you, because it is a skill, you're not suddenly going to go from like shy in this area to, but you could, because more than anything else, from that process we've just done, when we change the energy around something, as we know, we change the result. Okay, so it is very possible that suddenly, because of one thing shifts, it has a cascade effect that causes everything else to shift. So, you know, that is a possibility. It is also a possibility that you may just need to keep taking step. And before you know it, you'll have taken so many steps that your confidence will be just, you know, blossoming, where previously it was just a tiny little bud. But if each day you can just do something that opens the bud a little bit, then, you know, you give yourself the best possible chance for a sudden blooming to happen, A, and B, you know, each day you're just going to get closer and closer to being the true beauty that you are. So, guys, thank you for your time, your energy, your interaction. And for those who I've not connected with for a momentum call yet, we're going to be doing that. Probably some will happen tonight. And stay tuned, because I'm going to be far more active in the group than I previously was. And also, guys, I'd love to, you know, get your feedback, you know, how you found the journey, any questions that are still remaining. And also, if you are watching this now or on the recording fairly recently, what are some good times that would exist for us to jump on a call together to look at what the future might hold as well for the movement? Because it's time to step up for me, and I believe for all of us as well. Cool. Guys, massive love. Thank you for being here. Go well, and I will see you very soon.